Amy, and welcome to today's episode of Sipping on Country. And I am here with Bryan Ruby, professional baseball player turned songwriter, artist.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
No worries. So tell us a little bit about kind of your story and how you got to sit in here with me.
Yeah. Well, I've been here in Nashville for 4 years, songwriter. Started out here as a songwriter mostly for other artists, and now I'm an artist myself and releasing new music. I just put a song out called Goes Without Saying on Valentine's Day, a little heartbreaker song, but that's me. I love country music, love being here in Nashville, and it's been a journey.
All right. So one thing for anyone who hasn't heard your music, a lot of your songs are heavily centered around your life kind of in baseball. Like, that's obviously a huge passion for you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about kind of, I guess, bringing that into your music and why that's so important.
I played about 5 years of pro baseball before becoming a full-time artist, and just not Major League Baseball, just minor league, lower level independent league baseball. So what I wanted to do when I first started releasing music was release ballpark country or baseball country and really put together like a concept album. It's an EP. It's a 6-song EP called Diamonds Are Forever, which I released last year. But it's basically, I wanted to create the soundtrack to the ballpark. And I felt like me as a baseball guy, that would be a really cool place to start in music, is if I was to create the soundtrack to that environment. And we've spent a lot of the last 2 years, as I've been promoting that record, going around back to baseball ballparks and stadiums and singing the national anthem, singing God Bless America, and doing pregame and postgame shows at those places to kind of be both in baseball and in music.
I mean, how is that kind of going back to being so used to being on the field as the sports person as playing to then kind of returning as an artist? Is that kind of like almost full circle?
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange to be back in that environment and not on the field. But I love that environment. That's the environment I grew up in. My dad is a high school baseball coach back home. So I was always around the ball field growing up. And I'll still be in that environment a lot. We have national anthems booked this year, and I'm going to go around and do a couple. And I don't know, I love being connected. And my little brother's a baseball player too, so I love going to watch him play. And it's cool to straddle that and to be a musician but still get to do the baseball thing.
So why country? You're not from Nashville. So, I mean, where did you grow up? Kind of what brought you to country music rather than moving into any other genre?
I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I've kind of moved around a lot. I lived in Georgia for a little bit. I've been on the road a lot for baseball over the course of the last 5 years while I was doing that. But why country? I don't know. I mean, I think it was always just what I was drawn to. It's what I listened to growing up. I would listen to country radio on the way to baseball practice. And if you think about what music is on at the ballpark, it's mostly country. Like, the baseball and country music world kind of go hand in hand. So that's kind of just what I liked. I also gravitated towards the songwriting. I didn't know what a songwriter was. I actually took a job in high school working for my local country radio station. I would call in every night. They had a contest called the Hot 7 at 7 with Jennifer Reed. And it was 7 songs at 7 p.m. And if you were the 7th caller and you named all 7 songs in a row, you could win tickets. And I would call in every day, try to win. And then one day I kind of realized, like, wait a second, what if I call this number when there's not a contest going on? Is anybody going to pick up? Because it was just the studio number. So I called, somebody picked it up, and I didn't know what to say, and I ended up asking them if they had any job positions available. And they said, sure, come in for an interview. And I went in for an interview the next week, and they realized I was in high school. So I couldn't really get any important job, but I was like sort of an assistant. And I had to sweep the promotions closet and help out with promo stuff. And artists would come into the station to do interviews. And I remember one day Christian Bush from Sugarland came in to promote, I think, his solo record, Southern Gravity, at the time. And I remember it because he talked to not just the DJ, the program director, he talked to every single person there, including the 18-year-old kid in the back, me.
Right.
And I said, how do you do this? How do you do country music? And he's like, well, you can be a songwriter. And I said, what's that? I didn't know that behind every artist you hear on the radio or Spotify, there's a whole crew of songwriters.
Yep.
And as I sort of started to Google that and look it up, I was like, wow, I want to do this. So I started writing songs, and here we are, almost a decade later in Nashville doing it for real. And I've been lucky. I've been able to get some songs that I wrote, recorded by younger country singers here and a few pop singers as well, and now start releasing my own stuff.
Nice.
But it's been a journey, and it starts from a real organic place of just the kid who loves country music calling in to try to win tickets.
Right. And
turns into you're in Nashville.
I mean, and this is definitely something I've spoken about before with my guests, is that it's that perseverance. You could have just gone, I'm just going to keep trying to win these tickets. You could have never made that phone call. But I think then you also have people, Christian is a perfect example of Nashville, in my opinion. He's at the top of his game. He's an incredible industry professional.
Yeah.
But he helps everyone out. He really is like the epitome of what Nashville is. There's really no hierarchy.
Yeah.
The fact that he took the time
to
do that.
I've actually run into him, which is cool. And I ran into him. We were booked on the same songwriter festival, the Island Hopper Songwriter Festival for BMI in Fort Myers over the fall. And I saw him at the festival, and it was cool to, I'm booked on the same thing,
right,
on the same bill as him now. And I told him, and he didn't remember, because I was just some kid that he talked to. But I thanked him, and he thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When you first decided to take that jump and move to Nashville, compared to your I'm sure you moved and you were like, I'm going to do this and this and this. How did all of that really pan out in reality compared to what you had in your mind of how everything was going to play out?
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea what to expect. No one that I grew up with is a musician. My family members, nobody does it as a career. So I had nothing. I had and that's kind of amazing. I didn't have expectations. So it was just every day, like my first year here, every night I went out and I tried to go into different bars, go into different writers' rounds. I still do. I try to do it 5 nights a week. I take 2 off because it's a lot. You need to rest up a little bit. But the first year I was out every night, and I tried to meet all the young singers, and I would say, hey, do you need songs? Let me pitch you, get their number, get their email. And most of them said, they weren't interested in but occasionally you get somebody who's willing to listen at least. And if they're willing to listen to one song, hopefully, you can't overdo it, but hopefully the next month they're willing to listen to another song.
Right. And
you just continuously just reminding people, it's almost like tapping them on the shoulder. Hey, we're here.
Right.
You need a song? What can I help you with? It's almost as a writer, you're serving others.
Right.
You want to help people tell their story. And I tried to take all of this is hard because we're attached to the songs, but I try to take all of my ego out of it. If the singer wants to do something, that's their song.
Right.
On the artist side now, it's a complete flip of the philosophy. I have to really channel what I'm feeling inside, and my latest project that just came out on Valentine's Day is really that. It's deep, it's vulnerable, it comes from such a raw, honestly hurt place of heartbreak and sadness and shock. So on the artist side, you almost have to be kind of selfish and really channel what you're feeling. But on the writer side, you have to be unselfish and cater to the artist.
So it's interesting you say that, 'cause, actually our first episode, I had Tommy Collier in, and he wrote Southern Babylon with Ashley McBride, and he was talking about the fact that, he'd written this with this kind of idea in mind, and Ashley ended up recording it for a record, and was in the studio with Jay Joyce, and the track that they got out of it was like this really kind of like swampy feel, and he was like, that was just not what he was expecting at all.
You never know.
So yeah, I mean, I guess when you're sitting and you're writing something, obviously you have it in your mind of this is what it's going to sound like. But you're right. I mean, to a degree, you've got to give. If someone's going to cut that, you've kind of got to allow that artistry from their side as well. Which I'm sure with some songs. I mean, have you had songs that you feel like you've held back because you're like, oh, these are too, they're too personal, or you have a very specific direction for them?
I did feel like I was sort of, to be honest, holding back a little bit with my last project, with Diamonds Are Forever. It is a concept album. We tackled that concept, baseball country, but it's very much a concept album. I didn't deal with love. I didn't deal with other topics. Like, it was built for the ballpark. And what I've realized over the last couple months, as I've been writing more songs in Nashville and have gone through just an awful breakup and heartbreak, and unexpected too, is that I need to, if I'm going to be an artist, I need to be honest and vulnerable and tell it how it is, whether I'm doing great, on songs like Left Field. That was my first single that, that's the one song that people still associate with me. And now I ain't doing too good. So I'm honest about it. And that's what I want my brand of country to be, is 3 chords and the truth, however it is, the full spectrum of emotions. And for better or worse, that's where we're at.
I think that's one thing I know for me that really drew me to country music is how, what am I looking for? But like the stories, and that there's no like sugarcoating stuff.
Yeah.
But also when you are at your most vulnerable, I think sometimes just as people, we can forget that like our experiences are generally shared experiences, although maybe the nuances might be different.
Right.
Like the base level of what we all experience on a day-to-day basis, it's relatable. And when you can push a song out there and put all of that into it, as hard as it might be, like it's gonna resonate with people. Yeah.
And I think, you have to be, if you're gonna be an artist, you have to be honest. Like, first I thought of it as a weakness, that when I was playing baseball, I came out and was the only openly gay pro baseball player for a little bit there. And I was worried about that because the country music industry hasn't historically been very accepting of people like me. But now I think of it as a strength because it makes me different than, your average male country singer. And because of that, because I'm willing to be open and vulnerable and honest with who I am, there's strength in that vulnerability, and I can channel emotions. I'm not afraid to be emotional.
Right.
Like, and I think as we've been getting responses on this first song, people who I haven't heard from in a long time have been contacting me, and it just like this song is so raw and so it's like an open wound. It's like you take a Band-Aid off and it's like there's a wound there.
Right.
And it's everybody has that, and it's been interesting. I definitely couldn't have foreseen. I thought I was going to make a whole baseball country album if we were, and we've talked before, right. Like if this conversation happened 6 months ago, I would be like, and I had to guess what we'd be talking about today in the beginning of 2024, I would say, well, we're probably getting the full baseball country album together.
Right.
Instead, I pivoted and went in a completely different direction because I had to follow my internal compass of what's going on in my life and what I want to sing about. And we will have a full project that we're in the studio recording right now that is 5 or 6 songs, all along the lines of like heartbreak and it's a breakup EP, and I'm kind of, for better or worse, having my Taylor Swift moment. But that'll roll out this spring.
So I will say, and I'm glad you brought up the stuff about coming out with baseball, and that's one thing actually I have a lot of respect for you, is
Thank
that you have come into this 100% open,
Yeah.
you know, of who you are, true to you. And it is, you're right, you know, in country music, you know, it's a southern genre, and like it or not, you know, the South, it is a different time. You know, I haven't experienced that, and I say I fully respect the fact that you feel that you're able to just come straight out of the gate with that and go, this is me and this is who I am. And I think it's really important, especially now.
Yeah.
But also, so was it 3 years ago? I guess 2 years ago, like CMA Fest had there was a first ever dedicated LGBTQ plus stage.
Pride stage.
For any country music festival. That was at the Assembly Food Hall downtown. I mean, did that mark something special?
Yeah, I think that times are definitely changing, slowly but surely. There's an organization, Rainbow, RNBW, here in Nashville, that supports LGBTQ artists in country and other genres. But I think slowly but surely times are changing, and I would like to see a major label take a real chance on artists. I mean, there are out artists, Lily Rose, Brooke Eden, you know, there's Brandy Clark, great songwriter. I love Brandy. But I would love to see somebody take a shot on a male.
Yeah, I think it definitely seems like, as it's becoming more accepted, especially in country music, definitely the female thing is kind of at the forefront, which, I mean, not, it shouldn't make a difference. I mean, you have people like TJ Osborne, obviously came out recently, but Brothers Osborne were already at that kind of height in their career. Yeah. And I know actually you had the chance to speak with TJ as well. Like, if you want to talk a little about that.
Yeah, after I came out in baseball in 2021, somebody was able to set me up to go talk to the Brothers Osborne before one of their shows, and we went on their tour bus, and they cleared the bus out, and they said, you know, we need everybody gone, and TJ wants to talk to Bryan. And he gave me advice about songwriting, and it was a huge moment. I mean, probably not for him, but for me, it was like, for me, because that was also sort of the moment where I had been considering, you know, wrapping up the baseball stuff for a while, but that was the moment where I was like, okay, I got to really figure out how to be a full-time musician. And he gave me some great advice, and I mean, he is paving the way for one day, you know, a label to take a chance on a younger artist who is out and proud from the start.
Yeah.
First, you need to have people come out that are already in the system, and then, you know, and then the system hopefully will take a chance on somebody who's at a lower level but isn't hiding.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, but at the end of the day, though, like, I think about that, but I don't. I mean, it's always in the back of my mind, but I don't waste like brain space on it because it's not something I can control.
Right, and it doesn't define, like, it's part of who you are, but it also doesn't define who you are as a songwriter, as an artist. You know, it's you are you regardless of any of that stuff.
I just try to write good songs that connect everybody, and you know, like with this new Heartbreak song, Goes Without Saying, I feel like anybody can connect to it. You know, anybody whose partner has left unexpectedly. And I've been hearing from people who that's happened to, and it's sad, but it's relatable.
Right.
And so I just try to write good songs, and at the end of the day, like, if you know, it'll happen long term, but they say Nashville's a 10-year town, and I'm only 4 years in, so I'm still plugging away.
Right. I mean, you've had some great experiences, though. I mean, just, you know, some of the stuff you've spoken about now, but you also recorded a track with Ty Herndon.
Yeah, we did. We did a duet called The Standouts last year in June, and got to play it on the Concert for Love and Acceptance at the Wild Horse Saloon, RIP. That's closing down, but Ty was awesome. You know, we shot a music video. It was another super cool moment for me as a younger artist to have somebody who's more established take a chance on me.
Mm-hmm. That's, and I know I kind of said it with Christian, but that is the really nice thing about Nashville, is that everyone is very open to, you know, giving people a little helping hand, which is one of my favorite things about this industry.
Yeah.
So as an independent artist, you know, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't see. I mean, you know, you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to just go drop on, hey, we're going to do all this promotion. I don't think...
I wish.
I know, right? And I don't think people realise, like, how much just, you know, you put out one single. I mean, you're in tens of thousands of dollars to get, like, a solid promoter out.
It's... I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do is low cost because that's all I can afford.
Right.
Videos, like vertical videos for social media. We do lyric videos. Those are cheap to make. We've done two full music videos now, but those are a little more expensive. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm still at the baby stages of, one day I would love there to be a big budget because I could,
one day,
I fantasize about all the things I could spend it on, but not today.
Do you think that the way that social media is now, having that platform to have access to so many people, do you think that has really changed the game in terms of how you work as an independent artist to get your music out there?
I think so. I think, and to be honest, I'm not the best at social media, but it is amazing, you know, people complain about it. Oh, I got to make this amount of videos. I got to post. It's a lot. It's labor intensive with the editing and everything. But what it really is I look at it as a blessing because it allows an artist like me, you know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, I would have had to wait for the gatekeepers to accept me. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they would have accepted somebody like me, at least not 20 years ago. So now I just make the videos and I find my audience and they can find me. So it's almost like that's a huge blessing. It's labor intensive. It means I always got to be shooting videos, but they can connect directly to me. They can message me and like what people don't know is like the person responding is me.
Right.
Like there's no full marketing team that's running my socials. It's me and if they're sending me a message, I see it. Right. Like so and I respond directly. So it does give like fans direct access too. So it's cool because you're kind of close to the people that you listen to, which is nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So what, through the last 4 years of being in Nashville, is there anything you've kind of come up against where you were just like, you had no idea that it was kind of, a hurdle you'd had to face?
I don't know. You know, to be honest, like I said it before, I had no idea what to expect moving to Nashville because just it was so different than the circumstances I grew up in. So I didn't have expectations.
That's fair.
So everything has just been, you know, I don't know better like otherwise, you know. Right. So if something happens, I'm like, okay, I guess this is how it is. So what are we doing about it?
Right.
You know, so that's almost kind of nice. Hurdles, I don't know. I you know, everything that's happened to me so far is I guess pretty standard of what probably happens to a young artist in Nashville.
Right.
And every day I'm trying to learn, you know, still. learn how it is. I try to meet with as many people as I can, industry people who have been on the business side, because I feel like a lot of artists, they just want to make their art. They don't want to be a businessman. But I understand that, like, I'm a sole proprietor. I have a single member LLC. Like, that's, you know, that we don't make a lot of money, but we are a business,
Right.
you know, in making my songs, and it is the record business. So I don't know. I try, and I'll be the first to tell you, like, I'm not going to pretend like I really know that much about the business, but I try to learn, at least.
Right.
I'm always trying to pick stuff up.
So, talking about the business side, like, as an artist now, like, I think sometimes people forget, like, you are a brand.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to, and you do have to navigate all of that. And because of the way that the industry is now, you know, years ago, say 20 years ago, when maybe there were A&R reps that going out and they were scouting, well, people want a fully polished final product now. So, I mean, you have to do, if you don't have that financial backing behind you, you know, you have to find ways to do that. And I think understanding all sides of the business, not just from that performance side as an artist, but understanding all those things going on behind the scenes is really important, especially nowadays as a new independent artist.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, you're right. Technically, I am a brand, you know, but it still feels weird to say that.
Right.
Like, and I try to keep the brand as close to who I am as possible.
Right.
Like, you know, for the music last year that we made, it was baseball country. It was country at the ballpark, which is, if you follow me on social media or you know me, like, that is who I am.
Right.
And, you know, now it's vulnerable, heartbreak, and some deeper songs like that, which is also who I am. And I think if you probably at least the artists that I admire, it seems like who they actually are as people is pretty close to how they project with their art. And I think, you know, probably for peace of mind, it's best to keep it that way. You don't want to put on a face or feel like you have to act in order to do your art. I feel like eventually that would get exhausting. Yeah. And, you know, at the end of the day, I write songs because, like, it's the famous quote about songwriting not being like a job or like a hobby or something that you enjoy. It's more like an affliction. Like, you have to do it. I feel like I constantly, I have to write songs. That's what I do. And it's just part of me. And so the closer I can keep those to what's actually going on, the better it feels for my soul.
Right.
You know, so at the end of the day, that's the brand. You know, but I get it. It's like, you know, I've definitely been in those meetings where they're like, you know, what's your brand? And I'm like, oh, jeez, I don't know. Like, I went to the supermarket earlier, and I guess that's, you know, it's funny though. You know, it's definitely the opposing ways to look at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's hard because I think you kind of have to be able to see both sides to be successful. But then I see what you're saying. Obviously, like, you can't put on a face and put on a show, because not only that, people are gonna see through it real quick. You know, that some of the most successful artists, I mean, let's just take Dolly Parton for example, right? Global superstar, but, like, she is, what you see is what you get with her. You know, she's never tried to be anything other than just Dolly, and that's why people love her, because you know who she is, and people can relate with that, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So you've got your new single out, and you're obviously recording for a full album.
Full EP. So
Full
it's like
EP.
6 songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the plan on release date for that?
I think I'm going to roll out about one every month.
Okay.
And then the whole project will drop somewhere around the beginning of the summer.
Okay.
But the whole project they're all songs written from the heart, and I've been in a pretty dark place recently. I'm a positive guy, but it's just been very challenging. As you hear on the song, Goes Without Saying, you know, we tried to start it in the most beautiful way. Love goes.
I'm going to link to all this as well. I'm going to make sure that people can go out and find this, and we'll have it in the notes.
Awesome. Like, the first verse is, Love goes without saying. The moment your fingers touch, it's such a beautiful thing. And then right in the chorus, it slams pretty hard. Love goes without saying goodbye, without saying why, without saying I'm sorry. I promise I tried. So for anybody who's lost somebody who is near and dear to them unexpectedly, when love walks out without explanation, that can be very heartbreaking, and it definitely threw me for a loop when that happened to me recently. And the only thing that I can really do now is, it's been made pretty clear to me that that's I can reach out and not hear back, and haven't heard anything since that moment that happened, and I need to figure out how to move on with my life. But as a songwriter, I'm going to write about it. That's what I do, and I hope that in 6 months we're writing a little more uplifting, positive songs like what I usually like to do, but it's real, and it's my 3 chords and the truth, and that's where we're at.
So putting that EP out again, kind of going back to doing everything on your own, because I know a lot of people, they'll listen to the record, but they're not going to be like, oh, I wonder actually what went in to recording this and getting it out everywhere. What does that look like to actually independently release a record?
Yeah, it's very DIY. It's just me, and I have a few people who help me out who are super helpful, especially for the amount of money that I pay, because I can't afford to pay them very much. It's more of labor of love, and my friends who help me promote it. But it's DIY. It's kind of satisfying that way, because every song that we do, it's me who presses upload went to all the streaming services. Like, it's me who's writing out the lyric sheet that you see when you Google it. Right. Like, it's everything that you see is me who's making the video, when you watch it on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. So it's just a DIY effort, and in all these songs, nobody's making me record these songs. I picked them. Right. There's no label that says you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to release this one with that. And I got to script out the project. I got to pick the release dates. I got to press upload. I wrote the songs, most of them. One of the things that I did with this project is something that I haven't done before, but I'm glad that I did it. I've observed that, like, the most successful artists, like Kenny Chesney, George Strait, or people I look up to, anybody, Carrie Underwood, they write some of their songs, but they also source songs from other writers. Yeah. So I just went through my phone one day, and I made a list of the top 20 writers that I have met over the course of my first 4 years in Nashville. And I messaged them, whether that was, some of them I had their emails, some I had their phone numbers, some of them I messaged on social media. And I said, hey, I'm putting together this project. This is what happened. It all comes from personal experience. I have written a few songs for it. I'm looking for others to fill out the project. Do you have anything that you can pitch me? And 2 of the songs on the project came from outside pitches from other writers. And I love the songs. And when I heard the songs, it's weird because I didn't write them, but immediately I was like, wow, this is my song. Right. Like, it's not your baby, but it is. And I would like to do that for the rest of my music going forward. I think a lot of young artists have a lot of ego and say that, oh, well, I'm only going to release a song that I wrote. I got to write it. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, nobody cares who writes the song. Right. No. It's more about just the delivery and the performance. And so if you find a song that somebody else wrote, do it. Right. Like for my Diamonds Are Forever baseball project, I did a cover of John Fogerty's Center Field. Right. And he actually messaged me, which was really cool. Amazing. And unexpected. But I was like, this is a baseball concept album. Like, that's the baseball song. Like, you got to do it.
If you're going to do a record, it's got to be on there.
Yeah. So, it's that unselfish attitude, just looking for the best song. They say the best song wins, and I think that and the lead single goes without saying, just came out, so we really don't know how this project is gonna go, because 5/6 of the project still is about to be released
Right.
over the course of the next few months, but it's got to come from the heart, and it's got to be raw and real, and the best song wins.
100%. I think that's important, and you're right. I think a lot of people do lose track of, well, I just want to have this on because it's got my name on it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it should be about where's the best song coming from,
Yeah.
and you're not always necessarily gonna write an entire record of hit songs. So if you're able to pull from, there's tons of talent in this town,
Yeah.
and if you're able to pull from that, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's weird. I have, like, people play fantasy football and fantasy baseball, and I guess I've, over the course of the last few years, I was thinking about this the other day in the shower, which is where I think about all my important things. I've sort of played, like, fantasy country music in a way. I go out most nights to different writers' rounds, and I have these notes in my phone of songs that I have heard from different writers. And I'll just say, like, okay, if I'm building like a beachy Kenny Chesney album, what songs would I put on it? Like, well, I heard this song at Live Oak last month, and I heard this song, and I wrote one like this, and it's like I have these albums built for different concepts.
I love that.
Nobody will ever see it, but it's like it's a fun activity for me to, like, just say, hey, I guess if I was doing this right now, what would it be?
Right.
And it's like I'll play some for you at a certain time, down the road, but I guess it could pay off. I mean, it's not really built to help my artist career, but it's more just for fun. But I guess it does help me get in the artist mentality and constantly be looking to build out projects.
Right.
I know that we're in very much in a singles focused environment right now. People aren't listening to full albums as much, but I still believe that if you're going to put an album out, it needs to be cohesive and fit together.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I actually do want to touch on something you said, which was that because you're independent and because you're not with a label, is that you have that free reign of, if you want to put this song out, you're just going to put it out, right? Because it's on you. Like, that decision is on you.
Yeah.
Based on that, and moving forward, because the industry has changed a lot, is the goal for you having a record deal with a major label, or is the goal to work and maybe keep pushing the independent side and maybe look at smaller labels that just aren't kind of associated with the big?
Yeah. Well, I think one day I would definitely love to be with a major label, that comes with national visibility. And I think back to little me as a kid, the closeted gay kid who loved country music. It would have meant the world to me to see a major label star who was out. So I want to be that guy one day. With that said, we're nowhere close to that. Like, it's
You got 6 years.
Yeah, it's 6 years to go before I hit the 10-year town. But yeah, another thing that I have realized in living in Nashville is that, like, when you sign a major label deal, you sign a lot of stuff away. You don't own your music anymore. And unless you have leverage, like you already have built a nice size audience, or you have stuff that's popping off, on streaming services and social media, probably the deal that you sign is pretty bad.
Right.
So it's actually harmful for the long term. So I think, that is the long-term goal is to get with a label, but the short-term goal is just to keep plugging away, keep finding my sound. And Ashley McBride actually said something along these lines. I was listening to an interview of hers. She said, like, because it took her a minute to sign that big deal, she had a lot of time to figure out who she was. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of nice, if you can hang on. I want to, art is like self-discovery.
Yeah.
right? Like I want to keep writing these songs. I want to keep drilling down to push myself to see what I can be as a writer, and finding the brand, and making sure the brand is as close to who I am as possible.
Right.
And then when those people come down the road, it'll truly be me. I won't be susceptible to being forced to do anything. They'll know I will have built who I am, and they won't be able to pull me away from that. So yeah, that's very meta, but it's then again, I'm sure, like, if a major label came knocking on my door tomorrow, it would be pretty tempting.
No, I'm good right now.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, of course. And I mean, things change, but yeah.
Yeah. But, it's just consistently putting out songs,
Being present.
And it's so immediate now on social media. Like, I actually wrote a song yesterday that, or 2 days ago, like, we thought we had built this project, and I played it for two of my friends, and they were like, oh my God, this song needs to go on the project. Like, it was another heartbreak song, came from a very raw, real place, and I can do that as an independent artist. We can be in the studio next week and record it, and the song will be out in 6 weeks. Like, we can do that. I usually don't. I like to script out my stuff a little bit, but it's the beauty of the age that we're in, when you do stumble over a diamond in the rough in the writer's room, out of nowhere too. I was having a bad day. I was tired, didn't sleep well. Usually to write well, I need to get a good amount of sleep and rest, because it is a lot of brain power to put songs together, at least for me. And we just got this song, and we were like, oh my God. And then, usually when you always think that the song you write is good that day, and the real test is, like, you wake up the next day and you listen to it, and you're like, okay, is this actually good or not? And I've listened to this song like 50 times in the last day and a half, and it's good. Like, and it's probably going to be a part of the project, and you can do that as an independent artist, and that's the exciting part too. You're not locked into these label releases. I read Music Row magazine pretty much every day. I get their email newsletters, and I saw, like, a major label artist had scripted out his releases almost a year in advance.
Wow.
Like, he's going to release this in March, and then this in June, and then this next October, and then this in January 2025.
Yeah.
And that's great if you got the songs, but it doesn't leave much space for creativity. For the song we wrote yesterday, that's awesome. That makes sense for the project. Well, I can't really fit in the project if you're in that situation. But me, I have 1/10 of the audience that guy has.
Right.
But I can do it. So it's kind of amazing.
It's definitely there's pros and cons between both scenarios, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like I say, I'm going to link to all of this stuff.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to hear the rest of the songs that are going to come out for this EP. Yep. Is there anything you want to add about anything else you have coming up, or?
I'm taking it day by day. They say on my lead single for the baseball project, Left Field, all the best things come out of left field. Sometimes all the worst things do too. But it leads to unexpected twists and turns, and I don't really know what direction I'm going after this as an artist, but I kind of got to live my life and figure it out.
Yep.
And right now, this is where we're at, and it's sad. It's a bit tragic and heartbreaking, but I'm glad at least that I can make this art and have certain people connect to it.
Right.
And anybody who's been through a really bad breakup, or a really shocking breakup, where the other person just quits. That's a common experience And I've been hearing from people who that's happened to, and that's my brand of country. It's 3 chords and the truth. And, you know, whatever's going on in my life. And I'm glad at least that I can now be in a position to make music that people feel connected to. And, you know, but we'll see. I'm excited for what the next few months may bring. You know, I want to turn a corner in my personal life and see how that reflects my music. And, you know, hopefully we can be talking again later this year and have a few more uplifting songs.
There we go.
Maybe a fall in love again type song. But I don't know. It's I'm just in the middle of a long, winding artistic journey. So
I love that, you know, you can channel it all into music, and I think that
Yeah.
helps a lot. But I mean, I cannot wait to hear it. I don't know. I love a good tug on the heartstrings,
Yeah.
sad song. Miserable songs are my jam.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait, and I'm really excited for everyone to hear it. Guys, please go and check out. In fact, you know what? Check out the first record if you haven't heard it already. It's a fantastic record.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out that single with Ty Herndon.
Yeah.
Go and check out the brand new single that was just released on Valentine's Day. Make sure you keep your eyes and ears open for the new singles that are going to drop over the course of this year. Bryan, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be on.
Guys, we are going to see you next week with another episode of Sipping on Country. Recorded at 2300 Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Original theme music by Gary Wood.